This is a review of Saturday Night Dynamite, August 22nd, 2020. And it's a one night only event. Due to the NBA playoffs moving Dynamite off its regularly scheduled program of Wednesdays. The first match was Private Party versus FTR. And it kicked off everyone in the ring already due to time constraints. The match kicked off the show. Tully seems to be coaching FTR for now. And he also has a new jacket to match up with the pair of FTR. Quinn and Dax starts the match with quick offense. A headlock and arm drag gets the match moving. FTR later rolls out the ring to slow down Private Party's momentum. Cash then tags in to beat down Quinn. Quinn then gets isolated in their corner as Cash tags back in. Quinn gets some boots to his face for the trouble. Private Party then gets to work on Cash's arm for some nice storytelling there. They tag multiple times at this juncture. They tag each other in multiple times. Later, both teams are outside the ring as Quinn chases Dax down as he rolls back into the ring, which allows Cash to cut him down. Quinn later gets beat down in their corner yet again. Dax is putting it to him. They're really working that hot tag build-up. Dax then cuts off the potential tag and tosses Quinn outside the ring. Quinn later rolls in and makes the hot tag to Cassidy. He runs wild on FTR with kicks and flips into stunners for the 2 count. Quinn later gets 3 2-count falls on Dax for his efforts with back-to-back bridges and small packages. Cassidy went for a dive on Cash, but Tully pulls him out of the way. Later, FTR hits the Goodnight Express on Quinn for the 1-2-3. FTR goes 6-0 at this point. Nice hot opener. Private Party and FTR worked well together despite their differences. That could bode well for a future match between the two. We shall see. I thought it was a good match. 6-0, and I believe FTR will face the Omega and Page at All Out for the tag titles. I bet that's going to happen. Later, after this, we have a mock segment, and he comments on the MJF campaign. He says he should talk to his wife. She'll give him pages about his issues. People who talk about themselves all the time rubs Mox the wrong way. He says MJF talks a lot, but what is he hiding? MJF thinks he's the future of the business. Mox agrees he's talented. Mox wants AEW to succeed for decades. Mox knows he isn't going to make it for 25 years. One day he'll become an AEW champ. He's talking about MJF there. That day isn't on the 5th though. Mox tells us what's going to happen in the match. He usually does what he says. And I think he just gave us a preview of what's going to happen on September 5th, which should be a good one. Next, MJF fires back at Mox with his own segment. Last week, Mox attacked MJF from behind like a gutless coward, he said. His unwarranted actions have consequences. Someday MJF will have a family with kids. He'd like to play with those kids, but he can't because he's mangled due to the paradigm shift. MJF's attorney, Smart Mark Sterling, proclaims that paradigm shift is a dangerous move. He said it could have ended MJF's career. Who's next? Wardlow? Nina and her smile? The gum guy? Last week, a petition was put online. 5 million signatures signed. They drew up a contract that states the paradigm shift is banned at their match at All Out. All Mox has to do is sign it. Why would a badass need one little move to beat a guy like MJF? If he doesn't sign, he'll get sued. And this is a great segment. The lawyer probably stole the segment. And I think he did a good job. Apparently, he's one of Brian Myers' students. He was taught well. And I like in the background, we had Nina smiling, her fake smile. She had it the whole time. Then you had Lee Johnson in the back doing his thing, the gum guy. The whole crew was in the back. Good stuff. Continuity with the smile and stuff. Next match was an 8-man tag team, which featured the Lucha Bros, the Butcher and the Blade versus Dustin and QT Marshall, Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy. They wasted no time starting the match. Roberts didn't even get to announce the teams. Butcher and QT starts the match off as he gets double teamed by Butcher and the Blade. QT gets multiple forearms off. QT later tags in Dustin as the Blade gets tagged in. He arm drags Blade and holds it after, then leg drops the same arm. Dustin later gets mauled on the outside of the ring by Phoenix, Butcher, and the Blade. Phoenix later gets to work on Dustin's leg and tags in Phoenix, whom walks the rope to attack said arm. Then we go to break. We come back from break. Luchasaurus is in the ring, and he got the hot tag, and he runs wild on everybody. Jungle Boy later gets a tope on Phoenix as he gets another on Butcher and the Blade. Pentagon gets the Luchasaurus kick, choke slam, moonsault combo for a 2 count. Lucha attempts to kick Butcher, but he blocks it. Butcher blocks it. Blade gets a stunner off, and the Butcher brings him down afterwards. Later, Pentagon and Blade get in each other's face, and Jungle Boy rolls up Blade during this scuffle for the win for his team. Later, Eddie Kingston comes out post-match, and he makes a point that they all were on the indies. They're on TNT. They know drama. Why do they have to have drama? Eddie attempts to get the group's head together. He later says, "Come walk with me and everything will be ours." Then, as they were all in the group hug, Eddie then winks at the camera as they all embraced. I think Eddie Kingston is up to something here, because we all know Pac is the leader of the Lucha Brothers as Death Triangle. So we'll see where this goes. This could be temporary till Pac gets back. It should be interesting going forward, as Eddie Kingston is their mouthpiece, apparently. I was wondering when he would show up since he got signed full time. Good stuff. When Eddie speaks, you listen. Britt Baker has a segment in a gym with Penelope Ford and Kip Sabian. Britt brings up the fact that when Ford and Sabian kiss, they could get a cavity-causing bacteria. I couldn't spell what it was. She says she can help give them both a couple special. Free dental for a year. Britt enlists both to help deal with Swole. She has a match with Britt, but didn't state which type of match it'll be. So Britt makes it a handicap match by adding Penelope to it. Then this should be interesting. It'll be the second handicap match in AEW history. The first was on Dark with Lance Archer, and that should happen next week. And next we had an Orange Cassidy Tony Schiavone interview segment. Tony Schiavone says congrats on the biggest win of Orange Cassidy's career. He puts the mic up to OC, but he says nothing. Jericho then walks out with a mic. Jericho says, forgive his interruption. He knows OC is a man of few words. He congratulates him on beating him. It's rare that he gets beaten in AEW. He's only been pinned 3 times. One of those times was last week to Orange Cassidy. While it may seem embarrassing, but deep down he's proud of OC. It proves that he's learning from him. He's making a fool of his doubters. He has proven that, and applauds him for it. Jericho wants to give Orange Cassidy a toast, but before he does, he wants to give him a toast, but before he does, as it stands, Jericho has 1 win over Orange Cassidy, and Orange Cassidy has 1 win over Jericho. He wants a rubber match. Jericho wants a rubber match. He wants to take things to a different level. And he has an idea based on them, those two. The rubber match will be a Mimosa Mayhem match. This is what the match is. 80 gallons of orange juices mixed with 500 cases of bubbly. Only way to win is to be thrown into the mix by pinfall or submission. Does Orange Cassidy accept the challenge? Jericho wonders. Orange Cassidy then gives the thumbs up. The match will take place September 5th. Good segment. A lot of people are divided on this because they thought they wanted to be serious, but they forget that Orange Cassidy is a comedy wrestler. That's what he came up as, with this character that he's been playing for many years now. And that's what got him over. And he's sticking to his roots. And Jericho likes to have fun, so there you go. Wrestling should be fun, and this should be a fun match. But after this, the rest of the inner circle comes out and surrounds the ring with bottles of a little bit of the bubbly in their hands. Jericho says, "Here's to Orange Cassidy." And then he sticks the inner circle on the best friends and Orange Cassidy. Hager then gets his slam in on Trent, and Orange Cassidy gets the Judas effect for his troubles. The inner circle then picks up Orange Cassidy and pours bubbly all over him. And it's noted that that stuff could burn if it gets up your nose and stuff. So Orange Cassidy was a trooper for going through this. You don't embarrass Jericho and the inner circle is what that says. So he got his on him, but this tells me that Orange Cassidy will win that match at All Out as well. Should be a good one. Should be entertaining. That's all we could ask for. Next match, we had the 6-man tag team match. The Dark Order 3, 4, and 5. 3 for Alex Reynolds and John Silver and Alan Angels versus the Elite, the Young Bucks, and Kenny Omega. Nick and 5 start off the match. Nick goes for a powerbomb to 5, but he gets out of it and instead gets an arm drag from Nick. Matt then gets a tag and later gives his patented Northern Lights to 5, but gets interrupted by Reynolds and Silver, but they get one as well for their troubles. Angels later gets triple teamed via the Elite with tandem offense. Omega and 5 are in at this point and hits the "you can't escape" on Angels, but Silver and Reynolds make sure it didn't happen fully. Outside the ring, Omega gets clocked with a chair as it was held against his face as 5 gets a kickoff on it. Back from the break, the Jacksons take control of the match as they shotgun dropkick / bulldog Reynolds. Reynolds then gets saved from the Elite as they drag the Bucks to the outside. Kenny later gets his Snapdragons off on the Dark Order, and Reynolds gets a V-trigger for his trouble. Matt then tags in to the match. The Dark Order later gets the Indie Takers in tandem on the Bucks. Matt then powers through with a super kick. Angels goes for a dive and gets double super kicked from the Bucks. 5 gets assisted. 5 then gets an assisted Indie Taker, which gets transitioned to a one-winged Angel for the win. Kenny then snaps as he wanted to powerbomb Angels into a chair twice. The Bucks then prevent this from happening. That further continued the descent of Kenny Omega into the cleaner character, many presume. He tried to take out 5 of the Dark Order for no reason at all. Should be interesting. They're still slow burning it. It's going to happen sooner or later. And so I'm thinking it'll happen at All Out. We shall see. Next segment. There will be a gauntlet tag match on Dynamite next week on the special episode. Whomever wins that will face FTR Alex wants to know the relation that FTR has to Tully Blanchard. To be the best, you have to have the gold. To be the best, you have to learn from the best, and that's in Tully. Tully then gets to speak. If you step over the threshold, you look the best. Whomever the rank team is, they'll step in the ring with those guys. FTR will. Adam Page then comes in. He interrupts with a drink in hand. FTR said what happened last week had nothing to do with Page. They turned their back to FTR. You were speaking of the Rock and Roll Express. The Rock and Roll Express turned their back to FTR, and they did what they had to do. They felt disrespected. Dax had to fake his knee injury, and he wanted to know if they could be trusted. He wanted to know if the Elite could be trusted. Dax then says, what happens if the Bucks win the gauntlet match? Will Page step back into their shadow? Good luck to all of us, Dax says, as he cracks open a cold one to celebrate. And that segment was ended there. Could Adam Page be joining up with the group, this Horseman group that's forming? We shall see. Next up, we had Darby Allin versus Will Hobbs. Hobbs is a regular on Dark, so if you watched that, you were pretty familiar with what he could do. Allin wastes no time as he drop kicks Hobbs. Hobbs goes for a fallaway slam, but Darby escapes and chop blocks Hobbs' leg. Hobbs then slows Darby down in the corner of the ring. He lifts Darby out of it as he gets height and falls on his back and gets covered for a 2 count. He then gets a spine buster for his troubles for another 2 count. And it was Hobbs who delivered that devastating spine buster. Darby then counters a move for a stunner, then springboards with an elbow and hits the coffin drop to Hobbs for the win. Both look good in the match. But this was really what set up the post-match angle. Taz got up from commentary desk, grabbed a mic, and said, Team Taz is flourishing. The newest member of Team Taz is Darby, also Taz says. But, of course, it was Ricky Starks. Ricky says it's not, he came out dressed as Darby Allin, by the way. Ricky says it's not every day you can live your dreams, but it's every day he lives his nightmares. That's why no one likes him. 2 things he likes: skateboarding and turtles. He was mocking Darby at this point. I also like being reckless, jumping on a man's back, shredding him open with thumbtacks, cause life is a joke. Ha, ha, ha. Cage then takes Darby out with the FTW title from behind. And then Ricky Starks gets down to the ring. He gets into Darby's face with the mic and says, "That's what you are, a joke, a clown. The difference between you and me, I don't need face paint to be somebody. I am somebody. I'm absolute Ricky Starks. Always gonna be better than you in every single way. You know what life is, a joke? And you're the biggest joke of them all." After this, Ricky did the coffin drop from the middle rope to Darby to add insult to injury. These two will inevitably meet at All Out. I guarantee it. It should be a good match. Next segment, we had Sammy G strutting out with his cards. This was during a commercial break. He said, "Dear Matt, I want to say I'm sorry. I'm sorry I put you out. I'm sorry you can't catch chairs." And then the cards changed to, "I'm sorry Sammy is an idiot. Sammy is about to be broken. Consider him deleted." And this is when Sammy noticed the cards weren't right. And Matt Hardy takes a chair to Sammy's back. He picks up a card and gets to striking Sammy's face. Then we cut to full commercial break. Back from the break, Matt continued to pummel Sammy with a chair. He then tosses Sammy through a table down below the ramp. The refs didn't stop Matt as he grabbed a chair from under the ring that looked similar to what was used to bust him open a few weeks ago. That match will be on next week's Dynamite, and it should be good also. I thought it was going to be at All Out, but nope. It should be a nice appetizer for the pay-per-view. Next segment we had a Thunder Rosa from the NWA comes to help the AEW women's divisions, he said. She came for Shida's championship. At All Out, she has a request for a title match with Shida. This is great. I hear Rosa is a nice worker, and those two should hit it out the park at All Out. It should be good. I'm looking forward to that. And could this mean that we're getting an NWA AEW partnership? Maybe. It would be nice, but we shall see what happens. Good stuff there. Then we had the final for the Women's Tag Team Cup tournament. Veda Scott was out for commentary as she was on the other episodes of the Cup for the other rounds. And we had Shaul Guerrero doing the ring announcing again, which is some nice continuity, having those two worked the rest of the Cup shows brought over to Dynamite. Good stuff. Ivelisse and Diamante versus the Nightmare Sisters. Brandy and Ivelisse first started the match. Both get some headlocks off with some mat wrestling, surprisingly. Ivelisse goes for kicks to Brandy's legs, grabs her arm and tags Diamante in, and both double hip toss Brandy for a 1 count. Brandy then scurries to her corner as Allie gets tagged in. Diamante takes Allie down with an arm bar, then Allie tosses Diamante out of the ring as we went to break. We came back from break. Brandy kicked Diamante in the face from the apron, then tosses her back into the ring. Allie gets Diamante on top rope, but Diamante reverses with a suplex. Ivelisse gets a hot tag as she takes on both. Brandy gets a face plant for her efforts for a 2 count. Brandy hits her bionic spear as Allie hits Diamante with a reverse neckbreaker for a 2 count. Diamante hit a nice back elbow on Brandy as Brandy blind tags out after. QT then gets involved for a distraction. Ivelisse gets him tossed off the apron. Ivelisse and Diamante wins via pin bridge to Allie after a roundhouse kick. Huge win for both. Most people thought that Brandy would win this because they thought the tournament was set up specifically for those two. But I thought that would have been too predictable. And predictability is not good. And if they had one, they would have had go away heat. And I don't think they want that, because that's what the Nightmare Collective had earlier this year. So they learned a lesson there. I was right. The right team won. Post-match, Medusa awards the trophy to both Diamante and Ivelisse. They also held flowers, roses, but they tossed them to the ground and grabbed their flags instead to show off their representation. And the match was decent. The real question is what happens after this. How will they be booked? What's next for the women? We shall see in the coming weeks. Should be interesting. And also that since they won, this could mean that both have been signed, because unsigned talent wouldn't be getting a win, right? Good stuff. The right team won. The final match, we had the main event, or the co-main event. We had Cody, the TNT champion, versus Brodie Lee, the challenger. This match was good. Cody gets a kickstart on Brodie. Brodie then drop kicks Cody and tosses him outside with ease. Brodie then kicks Cody's head off outside the ring into the crowd. Later in the ring, Brodie back suplexes Cody and releases German suplexes him immediately after. Cody then gets 2 super kicks from Brodie. Cody then gets powerbombed and gets powerbombed again. And Brodie picks him up and then discus lariats Cody for the win. We have a new TNT champion. Cody was destroyed. He barely got any offense in. And fighting title matches week after week finally caught up to him. He was finally done in. This was inevitable. The Dark Order then comes out to celebrate. Tony Schiavone interviews Brodie Lee in the ring and Brodie says, nobody thought they could do it. Nobody believed in the Dark Order. People like Tony created this monster. Now he's a problem in AEW, he says. Dark Order is at the top now, Brodie says, as Cody gets carried off on a stretcher. When he had the chance, he knocked it out of the park. Tony tells us that Brodie is the champ. Brodie tells Tony to get out of the ring. Cody then gets medical attention while on the ramp, and he gives a thumbs up to say that he's alright as he gets wheeled to the back. Orton then gets abused by the Dark Order. He tries to fight back, but he gets kicked in his gut and dragged off to the side. The Dark Order then wheels Cody out and flips the stretcher over as Cody topples off of it. Brodie then takes a black bag, and wallops Cody over the head with it. QT attempts to save Cody, but to no avail. Then Brandy lays down over Cody, as if this was going to be any protection. Anna Jay eyed Brodie Lee, and Brodie Lee gave the signal for her to come in and put a chokehold on Brandy as she choked her out as she lied down lifeless next to her bodied husband. And the Dark Order cheered it on as it happened. And in that black bag was the old championship in pieces. And it is now time for the Dark Order to reign supreme as the show faded to black. That was a great ending. A great match, even though it was kind of a squash to Cody. And a great ending. That's the best the Dark Order has looked since the start, really. Now they actually look like a threat, and we shall hope that continues in the coming weeks. Looking forward to see what Brodie Lee's reign as TNT champ will be like. I highly doubt he will issue open challenges like Cody did. I think the open challenge era is over, because I don't think a heel will be willing to take on all comers. He will be snaking his way out of every opportunity. But who knows? Maybe Brodie is a fighting champion. We shall see. But I enjoyed the episode as a whole. It felt like a pay-per-view, as it should have, because it was on a night put up against many pay-per-views. You had TakeOver going on, and you had the UFC. So it was facing a lot of competition. Ratings should be interesting today. I will probably have that after this, so stay tuned for that. But that does it for the Dynamite review of the August 22nd Saturday night edition, and I will catch you next time with the rest, with another most likely dark review Tuesday. Adios.